Welcome to the Waffle Flower channel. This is Debbie from Line Doodle Design, and today I'm going to be looking at creating a small gift bag tag which can hold a gift card, and I'm going to put that onto a handmade gift bag. I'm going to be using the Peace on Earth stamp set along with the gift bag dies, and I'm placing one of the images from the Peace on Earth set into the Mini Misty along with a piece of Nina's Solar White card. As I'm going to be heat embossing the image, I'm treating the card with some EK Success powder tool, which will stop the embossing powder sticking where I don't want it to. And then I'm going to stamp the image in some clear embossing ink before sprinkling on some white embossing powder, giving that a good tap off, and then making sure my heat tool is really good and hot before bringing it to the powder to melt it. Moving on, and I'm going to blend some inks over the top of the embossed image. I've got jelly bean and olive inks, and that's a light green and a darker green. And I'm going to start with the light green and give a really good coating over the whole of the area around the image, making sure I get a good border all the way around the image, because I'm going to cut this out with the gift bag die, and I want to make sure I've got the whole area covered that might be cut with the die. Next, I'm bringing in the olive ink, which is the darker of the two colours, and I want to make sure I get a real gradient of colour to add some depth to the lower portion of the card. Once I'm finished with the darker colour, I like to go back over with the lighter colour just to make sure that it's all blended out. With all the ink blending now finished, I'm rubbing over the image with a paper towel to remove any ink that might be sticking to the embossing. I do like the interest that splatters out to a background, and so I've pulled out my watercolours and I'm splattering initially with a light green, and then a dark green, and then finally some white gouache. I don't want the splatters over the embossing though, so I'm using a damp paintbrush to moisten the paint that's on the embossing and then dabbing that up with a paper towel. With the embossing now all clean, I'm going to use my tin snips to cut out the gift bag portion from the gift bag dies and then line that up over the image. I'm keeping the die in place with some washi, and then I'm going to run it through my Big Shot machine to die cut it. I've used the die set to cut two white handles for the gift bag, and I've also trimmed a piece of white card to the same size as the back of the gift bag. I've reinforced the folds of the gift bag die, and now I'm going to add some strong double-sided tape to the three sides. I can then remove the backers of the tape and then add the front of the gift bag to the piece of white card I'd cut for the back. And as you can see, this gift bag will fit a gift card perfectly. I've added some more of the double-sided tape to the bag handles, and then I can add one to the front of the bag and one to the back of the bag. The body of the bag is now complete, but I wanted to add a little embellishment, so I'm going back to my inks, and I've got a scrap piece of card, and on one side I'm going to add some lipstick red ink, and on the other side I'm going to add some more of that jelly bean ink. And now, with this piece of card looking very much like an upside down Italian flag, I'm going to run it through the die cutting machine with some of the little flower dies that are included in the gift bag die set. I'm going to give the dies some more dimension by pressing them into the palm of my hand and using the shape of my hand along with the warmth to bend the card so that you get more dimension to the die cuts. I'm then going to layer three of these die cuts together with some Ranger Multi-Medium and Matte to create a poinsettia. As a finishing touch, I'm going to add a yellow enamel dot and then add the flower to the gift bag with more Ranger Multi-Medium and Matte. That completes the small gift bag which can hold a gift card for this project, but now I want to place this small gift bag onto a larger gift bag, and I'm going to create that from a piece of card which is 5 3/4 by 9.5 inches. I'm going to score this piece of card on the long side at 1/2 inch, 4 inches and 5 inches, and then I'm going to flip the card round because my scoring board isn't quite long enough to score the last score line. I'm going to flip the card round and again score at 1 inch. And then finally I'm going to turn the card 90 degrees and I'm going to score along the short edge at 1 inch. And I do have to move my card slightly because again the scoring board isn't quite long enough to finish that score line. I'm then going to use my scissors to cut up to that last score line. So these are going to create the flaps at the bottom of the bag, and I'm going to cut the flaps at an angle, and that will create a nice finished look to the bottom of the bag. To make folding up the bag easier, I'm going to remove that side piece where we scored at 1/2 inch, and then for the two squares, the one in the middle and the one on the far side, again I'm going to cut those up at a V so that they make it easier to fold into the bag. So this is what the bag looks like before we're ready to move on to the next phase. I'm going to reinforce all the score lines, but this bag isn't quite ready yet to be folded up. I want to add a handle area to the bag, and I'm going to do that using one of the dies from the gift bag die set. I've lined up that long oval die onto the middle of the panel, kept it in place with washi, and then ran it through the die cutting machine. And that's why I chose a piece of card which is 5 3/4 inches high, so that it would fit through my die cutting machine. So I've now got a handle on the panel which would become the front of the card, and I've also done the same on the panel, which will become the back of the card. It's time to put this bag together, and all it needs to hold it in place is 2 pieces of double-sided tape, one on the side flap and one on the inside of one of the bottom flaps. I can then remove the backers of the tape and then use the side flap to attach to the side panel, and then tuck in the bottom flaps and just make sure that the last flap to be closed is the one with the double-sided tape on it. And that's the 2 gift bags complete. The larger one, which you could put some treats in it or a small gift, and then the smaller one, which could act as a pretty tag for the front of the bag or could equally hold a gift card. I'm going to leave the gift card out for now, and I'm going to use some red ribbon to attach the 2 bags together. I'm threading the ribbon through the back and the front of the larger gift bag and then catching the handles of the smaller gift bag before tying the ribbon into a knot and then into a bow. I'm then using my scissors to trim the ribbon ends to complete this gift bag duo. I'll leave you with some photographs and want to thank you for joining me today. For more product information, please visit waffleflower.com and follow on YouTube, Instagram and Facebook for more inspiration. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.